Are your seedlings tired of being inside and ready to go outside? Mine too. Hi, I'm Landon Gilfillan with Pepper and Pine Garden Design, and in this video I'm going to talk about how you can keep your plants alive and thriving even though the temperatures outside aren't allowing you to plant out yet. Sometimes, despite your best efforts in planning when to start your seedlings inside and when they'll be going outside, the weather isn't cooperating, your schedule isn't cooperating, and they're staying inside your house longer than maybe they prefer. Maybe you notice their leaves starting to yellow or turn purple, which is either a sign that they need nitrogen or they are not having enough water. Maybe they don't have enough light. Something is not giving them what they need and they start looking puny. Maybe you've noticed the leaves starting to fall off or starting to curl. Maybe they're just not growing the way that you hoped they would grow, but there are things that you can do, simple things that you can do to keep your seedlings alive and thriving while they're still in your house. Now, for the most part, I plan my seedlings according to their cell size, depending on how long they're in my house. So if I know that a plant I'm starting in February, like peppers, eggplants, and herbs are going to be in my house for an extended amount of time, I will actually start those plants in larger cells for two reasons. Number one, because I know they're going to be growing in there for a while and I don't want to transplant them into a larger cell later on. And number two, because it allows me to add soil to their cell as they grow. Because as you'll notice, when a seedling is in a cell for an extended period of time, the soil will start to diminish, whether that's through evaporation or the nutrients that are being taken up through the roots, or just the compaction that happens over time. Specifically, I noticed this with my eggplants, tomatoes, and peppers. But what's great about that space that happens as they grow is I can continue to add soil that has more nutrients on top. And that's one of the biggest things you can do to help your seedlings thrive while they're still in your house, is continuing to add soil on top as the soil medium diminishes. So yesterday, I spent about an hour or so going through all of my plants and adding a really good organic potting soil on top. And that's just going to give them another boost of nutrition, of nutrients that they need to continue to thrive while they're in my house for another possible 2 weeks. It's also specifically for tomatoes. If you didn't know, their stems all the way to the top are full of little hairs that, if those hairs are put under the soil, will actually become roots that will grow out horizontally and vertically down in the soil. So the more that you can cover up their stems and soil, actually the better they'll do, because those little hairs on their stems will become roots, which will take up more nutrients, which will create a healthier, more sturdy plant. So even if these seedlings were still looking really good, I would want to continue to add soil as much as I could to the lip or the top of the plant, just to give them a sturdier base and the ability to grow more roots as they continue to grow. Now, if for any reason the cup or the cell that your seedlings are in don't have any more room to add soil, you can either take soil out. And like, for instance, if you started with a seed starter and you need to get more nutrition to those plants that are in their cell longer than you had originally planned, you can either gently scoop off soil off the top and then add something with more nutrition on top, or you can buy, what I like to do is buy a plant concentrate, plant food concentrate. I generally try to steer away from like synthetic things and find the more organic or like worm castings. But if I can find it in a liquid concentrate, what I'll do is I'll add that to the watering can that I generally water these plants with, whether I'm watering them from the top or the bottom. I'll add that concentrate to them and feed them at least once a week. And that will also really help them to perk back up, to look greener, to give them just a little bit more to keep going as they're in my house. Some of these plants I started in potting soil, and some of them I started in coco coir. And I talked about this in my recent video, the 7 things I'll do differently when seed starting next year. I have just found in general that starting my seeds in a really good organic potting soil or compost versus a seed starter medium or coco coir in this case, my plants do a lot better. So my seedlings that I had started in that organic potting soil are really nice. They're really big, they're healthy looking, their leaves are green, they're not turning yellow or purple, which are signs of either a nitrogen deficiency or maybe some other mineral deficiency. these plants look really healthy. The ones that I started in the cocoa coir mix were looking pretty spindly and piddly. So I needed to really make sure that I got them nutrients quick. And once I did that, they perked up, their leaves turned greener, and they're just overall looking better. And here's a perfect example. In the camera, I don't know if you can tell that the center of those basil leaves are a little yellow. Well, earlier this week, they were a bright yellow. And by giving them some more nutrition, they perked up and they're doing a lot better. So those are just some simple things that you can do to help your seedlings make it to the last frost date or whenever you're waiting to get them in the ground. Again, put them in a larger cell initially or transplant them into a larger cell where you can add a really good quality potting soil or compost or worm castings, or even like I said, I suggest like an organic plant food concentrate that you can add to your watering can. Scooping off the top layer of whatever they're planted in so you can add potting soil if there's not room on top. Just making sure you're pruning away dead leaves. If you notice dead leaves on some of your seedlings, go ahead and gently prune those off. That's going to help stimulate new growth and just help them to be an overall healthier plant in general. I know it can feel like forever while you're waiting for your plants to go outside. And like I said, sometimes they just are worse for the wear by the time you get them out. But there are things you can do to keep them healthy and thriving in your house. So I hope this video has been helpful. Again, my name is Landon Gilfillan with Pepper and Pine Garden Design, growing gardeners and their gardens, and we'll see you in the next video.